are you responding to these unpredictable times? And how are you going to approach 2021? Stay tuned for how to make 2021 your best year yet. Hi, Shannon Walder here, and welcome to Team Success. I have been doing a lot of thinking lately because the end of the year is coming up and we are looking ahead to 2021. And I have some very particular thoughts about the next year after the very unpredictable year that 2020 has been. And the question I want us all to think about is, how are you looking at 2021? How are you leading? How are you thinking about it? And one of the things that I have really noticed is that people are responding to the pandemic, to the lockdown, to all of the different news that's happening, however you interpret that. And they're kind of having three responses. And by the way, I've seen these responses from team members, team leaders, entrepreneurs, business leaders, political leaders, you name it. It's the entire population and friends and family. And I have run the gamut from all of them, just saying. So no one's exempt here. First of all, you can be really mad and frustrated about what's happened, about what you can no longer do, about, the things that are no longer available to you, all of the effort it takes to learn all of the new things. I did back-to-back events and conferences, which also involved speaking. And I have to say, learning two different platforms in 3 days was a little challenging. I was tired at the end of that one. One I had down, the other one, not so much. But there are frustrating elements of this. But are you overall mad and frustrated this has happened? That's one response. Then I've heard this from a lot of people. This is a frustrating response to me, whereas they're kind of playing the waiting game. They are treading water. It's the wait and see attitude. And for entrepreneurial success, this is the one I think that actually is dangerous. It's a little bit like, in sales processes, Dan Sullivan's always said, yeses are great, nos are fine. It's the maybes that will kill you. Well, I think treading water, just wait and see, is actually not the healthiest of responses. And this one, to give you my take on it. And the other one, and this one, Dan Sullivan is completely my role model for this. So I had the opportunity recently to record with Dan the author interview for our Scary Times Success Manual. So the book is already out, but we hadn't actually gotten to the author interview. And I have to say, after I finished that recording with Dan, when you're done listening to it, you are so appreciative of what Scary Times, this version is the lockdown, and the opportunities it provides. It's like, lean in. You're pretty much doing air high fives at the end of it, going, wow, what an incredible opportunity. This gives everyone the chance to kind of be a startup again. Things that you've been doing just because you've been doing them forever. Now you've had a chance to put not only, as he says, the pieces back in the box, but also the game board back in the box and pull out and create a brand new one. Like he said, there will never be another opportunity in our lifetime. Likely, this is the first time we've gone through a global pandemic and shutdown for so many new opportunities to arise. So who do you want to be? How do you want to reinvent yourself is really his question. And his other little takeaway, which always cracks me up, he says, also, if I'm going to have to respond to something unpredictable, I'm going to come out of this better. I'm not going to be the same. I'm going to come out ahead, which is such a fun and great attitude. So I've really been thinking about that. I thought I was responding pretty well. I got a little frustrated around Canadian Thanksgiving when I couldn't have my normal 22 people for dinner, but we managed. We figured something out. And I'm not nearly as creative as some people are about some of the social aspects of the Zoom world and how to connect virtually. But still, I think I've been doing okay. That was my one point where I got really frustrated. But then I'm like, after my conversation with Dan, I was like, okay, what does 2021 look like for me? What does it look like for Strategic Coach? What does it look like for team programs? I just started thinking about, okay, how can we come out of 2021 the best ever? Which I think for me is an incredibly energizing and fun question. And that's the question I want to ask you, because I think this is a really pivotal time. And it starts with our mindset. If we're going to take positive, proactive steps towards creating a bigger future, always make your future bigger than your past is a key sentiment around Strategic Coach. How are we going to do that? You're not going to get it by being mad or frustrated. And that's kind of my default. So I get that one. You're certainly not going to get there just by playing the waiting game, make stuff happen. So this is the opportunity to lean in. This is the opportunity to actually embrace it and go, okay, let's get creative here. Let's accept this. This is the next or new normal. Waiting for the next shoe to drop. It's dropped. We're here. And I'm pretty confident that for 2021, it's going to be a real mix at least in terms of business, live and virtual. So how are you accepting that? How are you accommodating that, to use a Kathy Colby term? How are you adapting in this circumstance and embracing it? Forget just letting it happen to you. How are you happening to it? How can you be a force for good in the world? So one of the tricks here is to really be present. If you are mourning what's happened before, hopefully you've gone through your grieving process. We've had a few months to do that. Can you let go of that? Can you bring forward the things that you want to keep and let go of those things you want to leave behind? Give some thought, reflect on those things, really look at what's working, what's not, what do you want to keep, and what do you want to leave behind? I know for a lot of us, the busyness, just the sheer volume of things we were doing, we were running across the lily pads really, really fast because we were afraid that if we slowed down, we would sink. I had that feeling. So I don't want to go back to that pace. I'm really, really clear. I love being home with my husband and my daughter. I actually surprisingly don't hate working from my home office. So, what do you have available to you is one of the biggest things I think we can do to be present and to embrace the new reality. And then also want you to ask yourself, what shifts do you need to make in terms of your own leadership? What kind of leadership and direction are you providing to other people who, by the way, are also feeling confused? And we are trying to make up plans when there's a ton of uncertainty, and as Dan calls it, unpredictability. But what do we know? Well, we actually know a lot. There's incredible technologies that have come out. I have been so blessed to be part of a number of conferences this year where I've learned things. We've done that at Coach. Other people have learned from us. Then we piggyback again, on other people's capabilities. I just learned some brand new Zoom features just came out. Can't wait to get them implemented into your workshops. Yes. I love seeing how other people are doing things. And there's this incredible collaboration. This is one thing that really phenomenal entrepreneurs, not-for-profit companies are great at doing. They're great at picking up things, implementing them, and then sharing them with other people. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't work. Nah, don't do that. It's a waste of time and money. Try this instead. And that's one of the things I love about really great entrepreneurial communities is that the opportunity to learn and to share with one another is so people just do it. I just got to be in the Genius Network annual event recently, and the chat box was blowing up with YouTube links and, web links and check this out or try this one. This product is amazing. Hey, have you seen this yet? Or read this book. It was Breath by James Nestor, by the way, which I highly recommend. So just people being incredibly generous in terms of their lessons, their learning, including what did not work, by the way, which very, very important to share. Or someone said, oh, I was going down that path, but then I made this one tweak and then it did work. And you're like, oh, thank you. I knew there must be something out there. That's really helpful. So really staying tuned in, if you're present, you are keeping pace with the new technological improvements. You're keeping pace with the new opportunities for teamwork. You're keeping pace with the new capabilities that are out there. But if we are in any way, shape, or form resisting or waiting, that's not available to us. There is one mindset, and I think really one mindset only, that will have us come out of this better. I love Dan's take on this, rather than the same or worse. Because frankly, if you come out of this the same, you're probably going to be behind. I can't see how you wouldn't, because you have not taken this opportunity to learn. The famous Chinese quote, never waste a crisis. And Dan actually paused. He goes, you know what? I don't consider it a crisis. How do we handle unpredictability? I was like, ooh, that's good. Unpredictability is a much more neutral term. Crisis implies a whole lot of drama. Not interested in drama, neither is Dan. So when you can tap into how do you handle unpredictability, how can you get really, really good at it? We've gotten very, very comfortable. We expect comfort. We expect smooth sailing. Will just reminded us that's not how it's designed. And so how are we going to get really, really good at handling what Dan would call scary times, unpredictable times, and how can we embrace it? How can we get really, really good at it? And how can we make 2021 your best year ever? I hope this conversation has spurred some great thinking in your mind. I hope you are choosing to lean in. Any questions or comments, please let me know at questions@strategiccoach.com. Thanks for listening. And as always, here's to your team success.